Hi, everyone. For the World Tennis Conference by WTC1 and Segal Institute, it's a pleasure to have one of the greatest coaches at the conference. Is with us, Modesto Tito Vázquez. Hi, Tito.
Hello, Fernando. How are you?
It's a pleasure for us that you can be part of the World Tennis Conference. To make a brief introduction about Tito, because he has a very extensive tennis career. We can say that he was a professional tennis player on ATP from 1966 to 77. He coached Victor Pecci from Paraguay, being top 5 ATP, being on the final of Roland Garros, as many other players. He was the national director of the High Performance Tennis Centers of Argentina since 1997 to 99. And also he was National Tennis Development Director since 2008 to 2013. He was working for the LTA in many areas, but he was also director of the National Tennis Center in Bath since 2005 to 2007. And he was also 2 times Davis Cup captain, being the final in 2011. Thank you, Tito, to be with us. You're going to present a very interesting subject like the challenge of the slice backhand in modern times.
Thank you for the chance of letting me share this time with the coaches and players or whoever is interested. So thank you. Yes, I'm ready to begin. First of all, the conversation has to do about, like Fernando said, the challenge of the slice in modern times. To me, the main change in tennis began probably with the rackets. And I consider modern times when the rackets emerged, but no at the beginning of the rackets, but when the players were born with those rackets, when they started playing with a steel racket or whatever, fiberglass or different materials at an early age. And therefore, these are the real modern times where they allow these rackets to hit the ball in many different ways that was not possible until then, especially the using of the wrist in like a ping pong type of situation, and you can get away with it. And it was not the case before. But basically, what I want to put emphasis is that to become a knowledgeable coach or even a knowledgeable player, I think it is very important to know the history of the past, the history of the players, all the players that made tennis such a tremendous game. And this is what is lacking in certain ways with some of the younger guys that think that tennis began only with them. And they might not even know who Sampras was or who was Gonzalez, to go far back. The main important difference to me, and I compare it a lot with chess. Tennis, we used to talk sometimes about, tennis being like chess. If you move first, you have the advantage, like when you move the white pieces. And strategically, you're in chess, you have like 64 square boxes, white and black, and there's 1,000 possibilities to 1,000 moves, different moves in those 64 squares. And it's the same thing, I believe, in tennis. And there's a tennis court with lines and there's limits, but there's 1,000 possibilities to be able to use many different tools during the game, and especially to the matches of 5 sets. And today, many people believe that the game is too fast to be able to use a strategy, or too fast to think. But when I see the good players play, I don't see that Roger Federer or Djokovic of Nadal had that time of problem of being too fast, because they're very capable of playing and using their brains and strategy according to what they have in order to become real good. So that's not a point for me. The most important point is be able to develop at an early age different tools. I said that the chess players had a big advantage because they had a chance to play all the big games that the world champions play. So, you have all the world champions, you repeat the plays, and therefore you're learning a lot of what, let's say, the Stefan Edberg volley was. But if I never saw Stefan Edberg volley, how do I know in today tennis who is a good volleyer? One thing is to know how to volley, another thing is to be a good volleyer. And that's the difference that the chess have. They analyze every game of the champions. They make every move. They have a team of workers, of great players or champions also. They make teamwork like they do tennis today. In tennis today, you have sometimes the coach, you have a consulting, you have the physical trainer, you have the psychologist, blah, blah, blah. So that they have in chess for many, many years. But the advantage is that they used to know how exactly many of the world champions play in different areas, and therefore introduce all those situations. I think that also in tennis something very strange happens. When before the 3 Grand Slams, that mainly at the moment when you are so good that you win Grand Slams, you end up thinking about Grand Slams. And that's the case of, you have Nadal with 13 Grand Slams, you have Roger Federer with 8 Wimbledons, and you have Djokovic with 9 Australians. So that's amazing record for modern times. So before, grass used to be the main surface of this Grand Slam, and therefore 3 out of 4 they were playing on grass. And at that time, the volley game and the slice maybe was the golden age of those 2 strokes. And the slice was quite very, very important and very useful on grass, and the volley also was very, very useful. But when the United States changed surface, I think it was 1974, I'm not sure, and the Australian Open 1988 changed the surface, then tennis became more of a variety game, where you could maybe do a lot of things, not only play on grass. And that gave the chance to be able maybe to diversify the styles, and many different players will have different styles. Now, however, it did not happen. One of the last, let's say, times that we saw versatility in women tennis was, let's say when Steffi Graf came into the scenery, because we talked about physical, how good physical the players are today. But Steffi Graf came in 1988, and physical is tremendous, even in today's tennis, which is maybe 40 years after. And Steffi Graf, in that 1988, did the famous Grand Slam, the real one, which they call it now the Golden Slam, that is made the 4 slams in 1 year. I think that she beat Navratilova in Wimbledon. I think Zvereva in Roland Garros. I think she did Sabatini in the US Open and Chris Evert in the Australian Open. Amazing. So all these different type of women playing different games, different strategy, different tools that they know how to use. It was, what I consider should be and is, the game of the future, and the game that most of the very, very, very good classic players can do, most of them. And but somehow, strange enough, later on, as the year 2000 came around, they began to play from the backcourt, from the baseline. They became a different type of game. It was very strange to see this happening on very fast surfaces like indoors or even grass courts, where I believe that an attacking game, an attacking type of mind, not being offensive from the back, but trying to close the angles should be more important. And strangely enough, that happened. And therefore, the physical condition became a priority. Today, you have thousands of players, they're all in great physical condition. They go to the tournament with a physical coach. And the return of serve improved tremendously. The serve was always very important, and it kept the kingdom in his own way, but the return serve became huge. They improved completely. The two-handed backhand became completely like after Bjorn Borg, an established type of stroke. everybody, the majority of the players, started playing with a two-handed backhand. And so that's somehow that changed the importance of certain tools that the players gave, specific, like, the slice disappeared almost for a while. When Roger Federer won the first few Grand Slams, nobody almost used the slice anymore. Now they are beginning slightly to use it, but not in such effective way. So I feel a little bit sad for the slice in a certain way, and that's what I chose that subject today. I could choose the volley, which I think it also has suffered. You see it in grass court player today, the backcourt is completely rough, and the volley is green. And before it used to be the opposite. I think that has to change around a little bit. They will become in the future player a guy that can do anything, like a chess player. He can play in different parts of the court. Serena Williams also became a very powerful player on a power basis from the backcourt, and she dominated women's tennis completely in the last few years. She even passed Steffi Graf, which was the other great champion that you could learn the good slice from her. She had it and made 22 Grand Slams. And in men's tennis, we have the opposite. At the last 4 players, we have a great chance to see strategy. You can see that Roger is probably the most talented and the classic closer player to perfection. The guy knows how to do everything. He moves very well. He plays a slice. He plays a topspin. He goes to the net. He's an overall player. But then when Rafa came in, it was like he's a Damocles sword. The guy had his number with that one-handed forehand with a lefty to the backhand of Roger, and his mind, which is probably the most amazing mind of any sport, drove him crazy. And a guy that was not as talented, by working very hard, today has the same Grand Slams as Roger, which is unbelievable. But what happened to this guy? Another guy came behind him, was Novak Djokovic, which today is very close from going ahead and being in front of these guys. And what he had the same flexibility, gave physical shape. His mind is very strong, and he was a complete foot player and made these cross-court shots like Monica Seles did sometime, open the court and make Rafa get out of that comfort zone, and he kind of had his number for a while. And at the same time, Andrew Murray came in, and Andrew Murray had the number of Djokovic. It was very fortunate for Djokovic that Andrew Murray got injured in a certain way, because he would have less Grand Slams, because he has his number, and his number was completely different. He was a mixed up player. He used a slide backhand to take away power. Then he hit a different shot hard to change the pace, and did give him a shot. The guy drove Djokovic crazy, make him get out of his system. So I believe that it's possible to be able to do that. Now we'll go back, and I'll take the slice back and going back to the main thing, and I will make it like according to a chess player. I read, and it's very important, a guy that was world champion chess in 1921, and all these guys could imitate him and know how he played and all over. So he was Capablanca, guy from Cuba, and he said something very, very interesting, which I will repeat because I think it's worth it. Now, I compare the slice backhand with a pawn in chess. He said, we have 8 pawns, 8 black, they don't make too much noise. You have the king, the la dama, the whatever, you move all over. But the pawns at the end of the game could give you a checkmate. That's how important it is. And I believe the slice backhand is a very good resource to be able to learn a lot about different players, to bring him into different positions if it's used correctly, and improve the horizon to play better tennis, strategy tennis. And he said, the winning of a pawn among good players of even strength often means the winning of the game. Extraordinary, because it's a piece that you give not much importance, but slowly as the game goes over and over again, in the long run, it becomes a very, very useful piece of chess. Then he said, the game may be divided into 3 parts: the opening, the middle game, and the end game, which is also has to do a lot with tennis. The opening with the serve, or the other guy's opening with a return, blah blah blah. And then he said, "There's one thing you must strive for." That's what I think most coaches should be able to do, and most players should do. One example of them is Rafa Nadal, which is a guy that every year with injuries and whatever, he's trying to come up with some new stuff. He's trying to learn the serve a little bit more, even though it's difficult for him. He tried to improve his slice backhand, which is also very difficult for him, and he's doing it, and in a certain way. And the last thing he said, as an adage, that he said that the best defense is a good offense. And I believe that is true in tennis. And the guys are trying to do it, but from the backcourt. I think later on, a full around player that will be amazingly good from the back, but with the mind of finishing the point in the front, is going to make the difference with all these qualities. Nobody is perfect, so you can bring people into different areas of the court. Now, I will talk about the backhand now. The challenge of the slice backhand. I believe that the diversity of the slice backhand is a necessary tool to implement an all-around strategy. And there are many different slice backhands. Today, there's only one type of slice backhand that the players are using, which is a slice comfortable backhand that go back and forward, cheap cross-court to make the ball bounce a little low, and take a rest or just make it difficult, change of pace. That's the only backhand I see. Only one guy uses the aggressive backhand, which I think is the main tool that should be developed among all the other possibilities that the backhand has. But the offensive backhand is a shot that you hit high, maybe shoulder level. Like you see Roger maybe sometimes doing that on a chip and charge and coming into the net with a return, or he does it on a return cross-court fast. That ball has to be hit shoulder level, very powerful, very firm wrist, and the ball will bounce nothing. It will skip on the court, will make it very difficult for the players that have all these Western, semi-Western grips, that they have to pick up that ball and hit it up. And then it comes to my forehand. And there I could go for a winner, or I could go for an approach shot or whatever. So this is, to me, a very significant statement. I don't see it in the game today. So why has the improvement of the return of serve so much and improve the physical? They can also improve different parts of the game and make it a better player. And you need for this, obviously, a firm wrist and very strong arm. I remember when I was young to see Rod Laver doing it very, very well. Rod Laver had a guy that had a wrist, thick wrist, big forearm like Villas, and the guy used to hit a cross-court slice, lefty, cross-court slide back and high, very hard. Cross-court, if the chance allows you to, you have to be inside the court to do this type of situation, right? Depends on what area of the court you use different shots. Used to hit that so hard cross-court, and then we come to the backhand again, and then he go for a touch spin down the line. Or he goes to the forehand, go for a forehand cross-court. It was a way of opening the game. The slice backhand, which I think a few players had it very, very well. Ken Rose, I think, was one of the top guys that they would say was so good that was almost flat. You can see that Orantes had it. I had a chance to have a player playing Orantes, and he won Grand Slam only with slice. And Victor Pecci, I played, was also an excellent slice. Very short, very firm. It's no problem. No problem, the ball comes hard. The harder it comes, the harder it goes, because it's a very linear shot, very, very short move, very strong, very firm. Like if you hit hard against the ball will become even harder. It's not a problem for me to volley against a very hard passing shot. Not at all. If I'm a good volleyer, I will volley even better. The problem is when the ball comes with a low topspin and the ball is moving, and as I'm going to volley, it gets low, whatever. It's the same with a slice backhand. I can open up the court hitting a very slice backhand down the line and get out from that corner that you have, and then what you do? Okay, if it's a good, firm slice backhand that bounces very low, you have to hit it up. You go cross court, okay, come to my forehand, baby. You go to my backhand, well, maybe I approach you now because I have 2 in a row. So it's an amazing shot that is not used, and I really recommend it to be able to know the importance of the game. It's more like a short karate punch, basically. And the diversity is unique, because with the slice, I can bring people to the net. But the good slice, not the one that I hit the average slice that we talked about before that everybody's using today. The one that I hit it sooner and higher, and I do a slow one. Let's say you're a 200 backhand, do a slow backhand slice to the middle like they used to do. We used to do it with Jimmy Connors. He had a good 200 backhand, didn't it? But you do slice him to the middle of where the service line is, and the guy has to come in with a low shot. And what do? Do I hit it and run back, or do I hit it and come in? Okay, so you can bring a guy into the net with that type of ball, a guy that does not volley that well. I'm not saying Jimmy Connors, no, but there's a lot of players today, I will say like Schwarman is one of them that is quite small, and people don't bring him to the net. It's incredible. They play from the back for 2-3 hours. Maybe, I saw only, let's say, Djokovic doing some few drop shots against him in Rome. Maybe he hadn't done it in so long that he overdid it. He did like 100 drop shots in one set. So that's also a very useful shot. The slice, like I said, the cross-court short, like Rod Laver used to do, is an amazing shot. Very good. I take the guy out, and the whole court is opening. And the diversity of the slice that also has to do with the other parts of your game. Because if I teach a guy, to serve, to volley, to hit topspin and backhand, whatever, here I have a cousin from the same family, the backhand volley. The backhand volley is very similar. So if I have a great slice, I usually will have a great backhand volley. I remember Tony Roach used to hit the backhand volley. Everybody knew that the guy would hit the backhand volley, cross-court, all the time. You go passing shot to the backhand, he will go cross-court. Now you will run, and out of 40 balls, you will touch 2. He will make 38 clean winners. Because the backhand volley cross-court or the forehand volley cross-court is over, man. The point is over most of the time. If you hit a good volley, it will be over. Cross-court and away, runs away, out of the court. Then you cover the down the line or a lob. That's very simple. And to change the rhythm, we can use it all the time. That's what Andrew Murray used to do with Djokovic all the time. He used to give him maybe a slice inside out back and just to some strange topspin where you can find out. You can hit it from around to make a cross court. There's many ways that you can find out, like you did find out in the forehand. The forehand became an unbelievable weapon. I think probably the 2 shots that improved the most in these last few years is the return of serve and the forehand. Forehand became an unbelievable winners from unbelievable places, areas. Before you used to divide the court, say, well, this is a safe area, don't go for a winner. And today the guys, if you give them a chance, a high ball, they'll make a winner from that. And the approach, they give me a chance for approach. Nobody approaches with a slice anymore. They all approach with a winner or almost a winner, without understanding that if I have a good chance to go with a slice, that the ball bounces very low, the guy will have to pick it up. Now, if I'm in a good position to approach with a slice backhand, and if you are in one corner and the other corner is free, I go to the corner. But if I have to approach and you are in a good position, I'll go to the center. Go to the center of like they do in the return of serve. And today, many players return serve to the center. It doesn't give you angles, right? Well, I will approach to the center a lot. And the ball will come back right to me. No angles, they come back to me. I'm a good volleyer. Okay, here I am. Okay? And it gives you the chance to put the pressure on the other guy. If you, see, McEnroe used to do that very well. He didn't not volley great, but his shot before getting to the net was so good, was so close to the line, or so specifically good, that the guy was covering that area where that ball was coming. And then he'll volley like this or like that because he was there. He knew that that was the only place where you could hit it. The other day was an amazing shot, a very important one, where Tsitsipas got broken by Medvedev in 4-all in the first set, where he approached and Medvedev had no chance to make any shot but go down the line because he was so late, and it was amazing that he reached for it. So there was only one chance, or a passing shot down the line or a lob. That's it. And he went for a down the line passing shot, and Tsitsipas was not there. And there was a break and the tournament. And the other shot that you can use with the backhand is a high lob. Okay? In tennis, you got limits, but there's only one shot that has no limits. Sky is the limit. That's the lob. So when you're out of position or whenever the guy comes, you hit the highest lob as you possibly can, and it's not a bad shot to get back into the point. So we have many possibilities for the slice. So why don't we practice it a little bit more from an early age? Now, the guys that have a two-handed backhand, they have more trouble in order to hit that high aggressive backhand that I'm talking about, because they normally don't have it as powerful as a one-handed backhand. Now, today's tennis, I think more players with a one-handed backhand will come in back into the game. I see a few videos of some younger kids somewhere all over the world and that imitating Roger in the one-handed backhand. I think that today in the ranking out of the first or top 6, there's 3 guys that have a one-handed backhand also, which is a very interesting type of idea to put into the game. I think that, let me say it, I think Sampras changed from a two-handed to one-handed when he was maybe 17. Edberg did the same thing. Thiem did the same thing. And look what amazing backhand Edberg had. Amazing backhand Thiem has. So it's possible. The advantage of the two-handed backhand, which will be maybe the high return on serve and be more conservative, I would say, because you can hit many balls, very counter-punching, but not as much as variety and not as much reach. So there's a lot of things to think about it, and it is very interesting. And the drop shot, main thing that we talked about before. The two-handed backhand, they do it quite well. They fake that they're going to hit a hard shot and then come with one-handed and do the drop. So well, with a one-handed slice back and all those things that we talk about, they're there. They're there, and I believe that as the game has improved in the return of serve, as the game has improved in the forehand, as the game has improved in the physical aspects of it, as the game has improved in knowledge. But knowledge does not mean forget the past, forget the good things of the past. You know, a guy jumping rope like Jimmy Connors used to do is still good. A guy that later used to walk around with a little ball here for the wrist going to school is still good. And a lot of things are still good. Run around for a long time is not bad either. So I think that younger people think that, you know, we are the best now, the past, it doesn't exist. And even it happened in the culture. And an old guy in a business is not good anymore when 60, retire. And today, I just received an important information, and all over the world, the guys that are more efficient are around 60, 62 years old. So if you're going to operate yourself sometimes, something very important, who are you going to go with, a young 25, 30-year-old, or somebody has more experience? So that's also something to know. And the conclusion of, this is a theme that we talk about, and it's very important, is if you practice, you will get good at it. And if you really practice, you will get very, very good at it. And if you really get good at it, you'll get so good at it that you'll discover new horizons in your game. That was it. That was a little thing that I heard from a little boy from India, which is beautiful.
It's very good. Very good presentation, Tito. Very nice and very powerful in terms to motivate coaches to bring, as you say, all the knowledge to develop complete players.
California dreaming. There we go.
Yeah. Also, not only is it good to have you here because all your knowledge, your experience, and your successful career in many ways, also for our friendship, which is very good. Let me. We have a couple minutes to ask you some more questions because you always are looking and observing what happened in tennis right now, and you have your own ideas about it. How do you see the players in 10 years, looking what happened today, even though, having all ways to play, but also which is new, which is coming, and how do you see the future of the game?
Well, I think definitely has changed. I mean, definitely has changed. But what I'm saying is that there's some areas of the game that, from some reason, it just happened that they became a little bit obliged, or they became not as important, and they are important. This is what I wanted to emphasize at the beginning with the chess pieces. That everything is important if you know how to use them. Now, if I don't have it, if I don't know how to hit a good slice, I don't use it. I'm limited. If I don't have a passing shot with topspin, I'm limited. So I think in the future, it's well proven that everybody is physically 110%. And sometimes I think too much, in the sense that I think the physical became more important than the brain, and it's not the case. It shouldn't be. I think there's a lot of space, and you can see the good players. When you see Djokovic play, he's a very smart guy. Now you see Medvedev. Medvedev is complicating some of the players because he hits very hard and very flat. So he hits flat, that makes a problem. But I saw Tsitsipas play. Medvedev didn't make one slice to Medvedev in the whole match, and Medvedev has amazing trouble with a low bouncing ball. Mm-hmm. All he can do is just put it up. He cannot do a winner. He cannot hit it flat. The ball is too low. So I think that the future, to me, is a guy that can play the same aggressive game, but finishing the point at the net. I think that they should come. I mean, the volley is one of the most simple strokes in the game. You just have to know how to volley. It's different just to volley. I see a guy that practices volley and he volleys okay, but then when he goes to play, he doesn't have a clue how to move into the volley because they have not practiced it. Today they say, the passing shots are very good. We cannot go to the net. How do you know? If nobody goes to the net, how do you know the passing shots are so good? Now, if I go 3 times or 4 times in the game and you pass me twice, I'm shaking. But I go 50 times and I'm ahead 26, 24, I keep attacking. And basically, a lot of the matches that you see, they go to the net and they win the points most of the time. But they are not great volleyers. I'm talking about, people like Medvedev. You saw him volley the other day. Was terrible. Djokovic volley okay the other day, but I saw him also volley quite bad in a few matches before. Nadal improved a little bit, but they're not, Stefan Edberg or Rafter, those guys. I'm saying in the future, they should become a guy that will be as good as these guys from the backcourt, and they could use this diversified of shots. And the slice is a great shot to have. I'm not saying you just play with a slide like you did Ayala in 1960. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you take time to improve, you take 1 hour to hit forehand, take 1 hour to hit whatever topspin backhand, and then take 1 hour for the slice backhand. Why not? Has the same importance in the long run.
Well, very good statement, Tito. A couple more questions. You did pass different ages, different times of tennis. You did play on the time of Lever, Roswell, Newcomb, all those guys. Then Lever, Villas, Pecci, all those guys. Then it came the new generation. In that time, Lendl, Edberg, Becker, and then came Agassi, Sampras, and then. From your point of view, probably, which is because we are not talking about the high stars, the high-level stars, and we are talking about the top 100 players. Which kind of mentality, which are kind of key aspects coaches has to work to have a positive, mentality for the player?
Well, I think that basically the pyramid of a young player, let's say, that you're coaching and you're starting to know and you're introducing to the game, and the idea is to become, like you say, top 100. It goes in three areas that are very important. One will say the legs, mobility. One, I would say the heart, how the guy fights, how the guy wants it, his and the mental part of the game. So I'm not talking about not even a stroke yet. So if a guy has naturally these conditions, the guy is going to be damn good, basically, because the game is not difficult to learn. If you have conditions and you have the right coaching, it's a beautiful game to learn. And the proof is that most of the players that have parents or whatever, or they were involved with tennis from an early age, they end up being quite good players. Like you say, it's difficult to be number one in the world, but to be in the top 100, you have a good chance if you have all these conditions that I spoke before. It's very important. You had this. When I see some young guys, when I saw Jimmy Connors at an early age, or Andrew Murray, they had this. The type of the mobility of Andy was not that great. The Jimmy Connors was exceptional, but the stubbornness of the mind, the fighting desire, was classic. I mean, it was outstanding. You could see that they were different, and you can see that. Then there's cases like we can say Schwartzman. He was number 8 in the world. A guy that when I came to Argentina last time, he was the number 5 of the 18 and under. He couldn't get to go to tournaments in Roland Garros, Wimbledon as a junior, because we couldn't send him, because the other guys, there were 4 guys ahead of him. And then we end up sending him to the US Open as let's say, for his effort. We knew the guy had a great mind, and he ended up playing. He was number 1 seeded in the qualifying. And in Argentina, at that moment, most people and most coaches used to believe that tennis was for the big guys. Tennis was for the tall guys. If you were not 1.80 m, you could not play anymore. And this guy played the qualifying. He was number 1 seed because he didn't get into the main draw and lost the first round. And look at today. He's number 8, and the other 4 are number 300 or 200. So that opened up a little space for all the guys that can play tennis without being 1.80 m. And but those 3, he was very, very good mover, good mind. So therefore, he learned the strokes, and that's it. You got a player.
Last question to talk, because we have right now, Tito, coaches from more than 17 countries in the World Tennis Conference.
That's good effort.
And how do you see, because you wrote many books, not only in tennis, you have all other interests, and you read a lot, you watch a lot of things, you are an observer and an analyzer. And today, how will be the coach of the future? How do you see the evolution? Because probably our profession has to evolve to create that. No, how do you see that?
Well, I think that they have a great opportunity today for the coaches. I mean, there's the visual art. Let's say you have your phone, which you can film your player and right away give him information about what you want or what you see. That's amazing. That's amazing. I remember in our old days, we didn't watch one player. We see it in the books. Like figuritas. You pass the books and you see a service in fast motion. So the information that you have today, all that is in the internet, all the experience that you can get by listening to this type of situation that you are doing right now, it's amazing. Now, I think that mostly is also experience. I think that the player that is, let's say you're a great player, and you become a coach right away, and you're good. I'm telling you about a guy that, let's say, Correia, for example, that he speaks in TV, he's very good. You only put names, you can get some problems. But he had a chance to coach Andrew Murray right away. But he was just a player, finished a player, and right away, very soon, become a coach. And maybe if he could coach a guy from Spain, he had more chances. But for coaching, it's also very, very important to know the background of the culture that the guy is involved. If the guy is from Serbia, if the guy is from Africa, if the guy is from South America, if the guy is from England, if the guy is from Ireland, it takes a while I had a hard time when I went to England. I went there. I had been in America 7 years. I thought this is a picnic. No, it was not a picnic. It was a different mentality. The United States and England had nothing to do with each other. Like Churchill said, there's two countries separated by a common language. And I think that's a main thing, a very, very important aspect. Now, the coach somehow, it becomes better with experience. So I would say that Correa, 2-3 years later, is a better coach than 2-3 years before. But the guy that has been coaching, maybe that's not Correa, but he's been coaching for a long time or played not as good, could be a good coach. Definitely, I think the guy that has been with Djokovic, that the main guy, not the guys that go Becker and this and that, and the guy that stayed there like most of his career had done a great job with him. And I think, look at the Tony with Rafa had that amazing job as a mind, besides teaching him the game. The mind of Rafa is unbelievable. And you see him speak when he was 13 or 14 when won the Petitas. He's the same guy. The same guy talking when he was 13, 14, and he's talking today. But I think it's very important that in the spiritual aspect, in the emotional aspect, and to know. Now, the coaches, we are in a problem because we always are confronting a player that has to improve. And when he goes and loses and things don't go well on training, whatever, we are always on the borderline because we are always trying to do more or trying to talk to the guy. We have to know the guy. We have to really observe how is he to be able to motivate him. Like, I don't know, but Nick Bollettieri was a good motivator. Was not, let's say, he didn't know at the beginning as much as knowledge as he has today, but a good motivator, he was always a good motivator. And so that aspect, I think, is quite important. And to know that, unfortunately, we are the ones that had the risk of losing the job because the guy basically doesn't well and you confront him. A physical coach always gets along much better with the football players, basketball players, anything, because it always obtains the job. Let's do 10 abdominals. Come on, you can do it. 7, 8, come on, 9, 10. Wow, you do it. Let's do 10 splits. Okay, beautiful. You done it. You always accomplish, but you don't accomplish almost never on the practice court and on a game because the other guys also playing and driving you crazy. So it's a very amazing game, very beautiful, and I think they have a lot of help today, much help than we had before. You have physical trainer with them that takes half of the job away. You have psychology, you have nutritionists, you have girlfriends, I don't know. So it's there. The cake is there. To be smart, I think, and to be open, learn, and learn also by practice, by the usual practice. You might, miss a few boys, but at the end you become very good.
Thank you very much, Tito. At the name of the World Tennis Conference and also the GPTCA and the Segal Institute, it was a privilege to have you on the conference. Thank you for all your knowledge and all the things that you have done for tennis.
Thank you, Fernando, and thank you for GPA. And obviously, it's a very exciting event that you're doing. I hope that people all over the world can appreciate it and learn from it. I think it's amazing. I haven't seen anything like that in many years. So good luck.
Thank you.